We ask your patience for a couple of more minutes. One of the sessions is walking here. So we'll start in a few minutes. Can I ask some of the people who sit in the back to move forward? It would be much nicer if you all move forward, please. Okay, so it's my pleasure to open the last session of the conference, and we'll be beginning with the winners of the posters in the conference. And I'm asking Dave Massacre, the chairman of the judging panel, to come and to announce, and you will acknowledge also your colleagues to the panel. Dave Massacre of Northrop Grumman.
Thank you, Sherelle. So I was involved in the poster session judgment process with Joe Marina and Susan Frank. We had a tough decision to be able to choose the 3 best posters from the 30 excellent posters that we had in our session this year. But we used a rigorous process, and we finally able to picked what we consider the three best posters. If any of the best poster presenters are here, when I announce your name, please stand. Otherwise, prizes for the best posters will be in room 100. I don't think the presenters will be here because they're students and they're in classes, but there might be some. So the three best posters are Word Embeddings for Genome Annotations with Deep Learning, presented by Alyssa Yurovsky. Automating Life-Cycle Phase Identification in Microscopic Images of Zebrafish Embryos by Shihira Abaushma. And Towards an Autonomous Underwater Vehicle Using Sonar Imaging for Bridge Scour Assessment, presented by Elena Georgiadis. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave, Susan, and Joe. The three posters are here. You can look at them again if you want to be better impressed after the keynote speech. Now I'm calling Dr. Satya Sharma, the Executive Director of Cewit, to introduce our keynote speaker.
Well, it's exactly noon. So I don't know if should I say good morning, good afternoon, but whatever. So let's say good afternoon, everybody. Before I introduce our keynote speaker, I would like to thank all of our sponsors again for the support they have provided us, and also to the staff members. In fact, they are really the people who make any event successful or fall it by the wayside. So we have some excellent staff at Cewit, and I'd like to acknowledge all of them for the hard work they have put into this. And it goes without saying that without their help, it would not have been a very successful event. This is the first time we have done this event in this building. And there were obviously a few issues here and there, which will be taken care of in the future events. And I'd also like to thank the program committee and our chair, Dr. Aina, and Dr. Rang Zhao, co-chair, for the hard work that they put into this conference, and the program committee that has representatives from different companies and all the other institutions. So I'd like to thank all of them for very hard work. As you know that, as you have witnessed since yesterday, that this conference is focused on innovation and the emerging future information technology world. Innovation, by almost any definition, has been associated with American economic culture for more than 2 centuries. But something is different now. What is different? You see, as the 21st century dawned, the former superpowers struggled to reorient the priorities from Cold War, national security issues to economic competitiveness. 2 features, however, are genuinely new. The number of national players, particularly the huge populated Asian countries, and the revolution in information technology. This is as profound in its effect on world economic conditions as was the development of navigation in the 16th century or the introduction of powered machinery in the 19th. Innovation is just as important for national economic competitiveness today as it was more than a century ago. But what is different? It is the globalization and the information revolution that has added complexity that did not exist before. Donald Stark's now classic postures quadrant offers two dimensions of innovation: knowledge-inspired and use-inspired, which intersect in postures quadrant of use-inspired research. However, more than two dimensions are probably needed to capture the complex modes of various interactions that shape the innovation now. Today, the generation of perceived need is itself a matter of innovation. Innovation has this chicken and egg quality that makes it extremely hard to analyze. We all know visionaries who conceived of a society, they conceived of a future, and then totally transformed it by their ideas. We're all surprised by the rapid acceptance of a transformative idea within the last 20 years. Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Page, Sergey Brin, Jeff Bezos. These are such visionaries. The innovation of interest to us obviously are those that become integrated into economies. What causes them to be adopted depend on their ability to satisfy some perceived need by consumers, and that perceived need may be an artifact of marketing, fashion, cultural inertia, or even ignorance. Sometimes we don't even know what our needs are. And this brings me to introduce our keynote speaker for today, Mr. Kimihiro Okubo, the President and CEO of Docomo USA. Mr. Okubo has more than 20 years of experience at NTT Docomo. From April 1997 to June 2004, he worked at NTT Docomo R&D Center in Tokyo. He contributed to the 1999 launch of Japan's first mobile internet access service, iMode, by developing the packet exchange gateway system to connect Docomo's mobile network with the internet. 2004 to 2010, he worked in the corporate strategy and planning department of Docomo in Tokyo. And from 2010 to 2013, he was the general manager of a strategic marketing department, where he led 6 projects which succeeded in enhancing subscriber satisfaction in areas including network quality, after-sales service, subscriber inquiries, and pricing plans. As director of the Radio Access Engineering Department at the Tokyo headquarters, from 2013 to 2015, he was responsible for optimizing the business operations of the public service Docomo Wi-Fi. He successfully expanded the number of active users and contributed to the cellular traffic offloading to Docomo's Wi-Fi network. Mr. Okubo earned his MBA at the MIT Sloan School of Management and has a master's degree in electrical and electronic engineering from Hokkaido University. Very rare combination of an extremely good manager and a great technocrat. We're delighted to have him as our keynote speaker. His talk is Working Toward a Smarter Society.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to say thank you all taking your time and coming to my presentation. And I also would say thank you, Cewit, to giving me a great opportunity to make a presentation in such a place. So my name is Kimi Okubo from NTT Docomo USA, but he already introduced myself very, very nice introduction, so I don't want to talk so much about myself. But Docomo USA is a subsidiary of the NTT Docomo that is one of the largest wireless service provider in Japan and serves to the 70 million subscribers. So today, I'm going to talk about how technologies like IoT and 5G are going to make our society more smarter and richer. Oh, excuse me, I have to switch my presentation material. Sorry about that. Okay. So this slide shows today's agenda. I'm going to cover in this presentation. Firstly, I would like to talk about how we envision using IoT will make a smarter society. And then we're going to talk about what's actually happening in the IoT world currently today. And finally, I'm going to touch on the future of IoT in the next era of in the next coming era of 5G. Firstly, in this slide, let me discuss Japan's societal issue that we have been facing in Japan now. So there are two concerning things happening in Japan right now. First thing is falling birth rate and aging population. It is obvious that causes the declining labor force. So we need to struggling with how to maintain a labor force. And then it sometimes causes some kind of related issues like depopulation of the rural area. It creates an unbalance the population density among rural area and the urban area. The other factor we need to consider is the decline in the Japanese companies' corporate competitiveness in the world. As you may know, Japan had struggled with the prolonged economic depression since mid of 1990s. So, and the other factor we need to think about is the rise of the emerging countries, such as China, India, and other Asian countries. So that means the competitiveness of Japan's company has been declining compared relative to the other Asian countries. So thinking about these two factors, so the challenges that Japan right now are facing with are the three parts. One is how to revitalize the region of Japan. And second thing is how to improve the efficiency, not only for the business operation, but also the efficiency of the infrastructures, such as transportation system and social serving system and something like that. And the last one is expanding a Japanese company's business. I strongly believe these societal challenges that Japan has will be solved with technologies such as IoT and 5G. So in the next couple of slides, let me touch on about the Docomo's midterm strategy that is announced in May this year. So this strategy is developed looking ahead to the year 2020. And after. So we call the strategy Beyond 2020. And the number is very symbolic number for Japan because the year 2020 is the year the Tokyo Olympic Games will be held again. So this slide shows the overview of the Beyond 2020. this states DOCOMO's commitment that we will contribute to developing a richer future utilizing 5G and other technologies. And that commitments are summarized in the form of 6 declarations, as you can see in the 6 elements in the center of these slides. So this slide also said that, so AI and 5G, AI, 5G, and IoT technologies are going to be the DOCOMO's good assets and the strategic business foundation in order to achieve these kind of declarations. So in the next few slides, let me touch on a couple of declarations I mentioned that relates to today's topic. First one is a slide about we contribute to social and industrial development utilizing 5G technologies. So regarding 5G, I will touch on in more detail in later today's presentation, but 5G has a feature of more higher speed, lower latency, and more devices connected to the network. So this is a very important feature in the IoT world because everything will be connected to the network. By utilizing these kind of features, we will try to create a new industry, such as the next generation transportation, smart cities, etc. This is one example. And next one is to accelerate a collaboration with our partners. So as a wireless operator, not only to provide a wireless connectivity to such partners, so we are also committed to solve the social issues that each industry has. So by deepening a relationship with partners such as transportation operator and the primary industry, education, healthcare, etc. So we are going to try to solve such social issues they are facing with right now. And the last one is to support partners' business by making use of our strategic assets that I mentioned, like AI, IoT, and a big customer base, etc. So by making these assets available to our partners, we help our customers, our partners, to expanding their business and sales growth, etc. So these couple of slides clearly says DOCOMO is totally committed to create, to develop the enriched society or by solving those kind of issues. So in this part, let me talk about how we are expanding IoT area right now. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, Japan has 3 societal problems like local vitalization, improving business efficiency, and business expansion for the Japanese company. So in order to solve those kind of issues, we are developing, we are hardly working on creating such a platform that can be helpful to solve those kind of issues. First one is we call, say, the IoT solution package. And second one is the next generation mobility platform. And third one is IoT global platform. So I will touch on each platform. So let's see how it works. So first one is the regional vitalization issue. So we offer the IoT solution packages. So again, this slide shows the problem and the societal issues that regional area currently has. So one is about primary industry thing. So as I mentioned, rural area are struggling with how to maintain the workforce level because of the population moves from rural to the urban area. And second is about disaster. As you may know, Japan also is a nation of a country, a nation of many islands prone to the lot of natural disasters, such as typhoons, earthquakes, tsunamis, etc. So we need to predict such a natural disaster as soon as we can. So those are the issues that currently the regional area has. So this is an example of in a primary industry solution. This slide presents two examples about marine industry and agriculture industry. What we are doing in this area is developing some sensors that can detect what's actually happening in the sea waters or rice field or etc. So by providing such sensors, we can monitor what actually happens in the sea water, like they can measure the water temperature and salinity of the sea water, or of course we can monitor the temperature and what actually happens in the rice field. So such sensor enables us to reduce an on-site labor because we can measure such information. We can gather such important information without sending any labors to the actual on-site. Also, the measurement enables us to create a more stable yield because gathering such a detailed information, we can adjust in more detail. So that is what we are actually working on in the primary industry about in the rural area. And second topic in the rural area thing is the disaster prevention. As I told you, Japan has a lot of natural disaster, and also Japan is also the mountainous country because 70% of the land is a mountain district in Japan. So in such area, we suffer from many landslides after hitting a typhoon, after having many rains, etc. Also, we have some kind of snowslides as well. So in order to predict such a disaster, we developed many sensors, landslide sensors, water level sensors, and snowfall weight sensors, etc. Those sensors enables us to gather the many information we can analyze so as to make some alerts to the citizens. So that is a basic idea for the disaster prevention. This system is realized in collaboration with NIED, N-I-E-D. It stands for Natural Research Institute for Earth Science and Disaster Prevention. So in collaboration with them, we are doing several projects right now. So I presented the two examples of the disaster prevention. One is landslide monitoring. It is deployed to the mountainous area. And second one example is, you can see that on the right-hand side, snow slide prevention. So what actually doing is almost similar thing, but the problem currently they have is the existing system was very expensive to deploy. So then such a deployed area is very limited due to the budget limitation. But wireless sensoring system enable to us to deploy the more broader area because we can provide a more low-cost system utilizing the wireless system. And it also not only realize a low-cost operation, but also it can offer the less dangerous system for workers, because we don't need to send workers to the landslide area in order to monitor what happens in such a mountain district. And also, we can avoid the dangerous disasters by making use of the disaster prevention system. The next topic is about improving efficiency. So I think you're familiar with this area, because manufacturing and the construction, we can see a lot of use cases about these kinds of things, because they are known as industrial IoT, IIoT. So I try to introduce a different use case from them today. So I want to talk about automotive and transportation industry as a use case today. So again, even in the traffic-related transportation area, we also have a lot of challenges caused by the low birth rate, aging population, and migration from rural to urban areas. For example, in an urban area, so we have to deal with the traffic congestion, and in addition to that, we need to think about how to reduce the environmental burden that is caused by the huge population density in the urban area. And on the other hand, in the rural area, it's a little bit different way from the urban area, because as I mentioned, rural area are struggling with the low population, so how to maintain a workforce level at the rural area. So in rural area, more efficient system is needed to maintain and to keep operating such a transportation system. That's why we are actually working on realizing the next generation mobility service system that provides value of safer, eco-friendly, and productive transportation system. So in this system, it is composed of mainly two parts. First one is car life cycle support service. This main target is individual drivers. And next one is traffic optimization support services. That is targeting to the operators that have cars and operating them in order to provide such services such as transportation or package delivery or something else. This slide shows the concept of the first function of the car life cycle support system. So looking at the individual standpoint, so when they have many different stages related to the car life. So they purchasing a car and driving a car and selling a car. So we are going to provide each services like loan, issuing, insurance, and safety, and maintenance, and at the end, trading. So we are trying to provide those kind of whole total service to the drivers. This is a basic concept of the car life cycle support system. This is another example of the car life support. So we are trying to provide AI infotainment service. It is also familiar with you because many people are trying to create such a similar services. But the Docomo already has a natural language understanding system. It's specialized in Japanese, unfortunately. But that enable us to proactive support to the car drivers without touching any screens. So this is one example of the car life support services. This is the second topic of the next generation traffic services. this system provides a service platform for optimized traffic operation that saves that optimize the taxi distribution or taxi route and bus route, etc. By monitoring, by gathering all information, and by analyzing AI, utilizing a UI, we're going to analyze such a data, and we can decide how to optimize it. So in this area, there are many examples that currently Docomo are working on, like AI taxi demonstration, and AI bus demonstration, and self-driving bus demonstration, so many things. But today, I'm going to touch on AI taxi demonstration later. So again, this is the background of the AI demonstration. I am not sure if it is a good thing or bad thing for Japan, but fortunate for the taxi cab industry, they are very lucky because Uber cannot enter into the Japanese market due to the regulatory restriction so far. But they still have some issues, some challenges in the taxi cab industries. First one is the same thing of the depopulation of Japan, so their lack of the labor forces, and also aging drivers. On the other hand, so they also have a good news because they expect a demand increase as the number of the foreign visitors to Japan also increases toward 2020. So the objective of this demonstration is to make sure if the implementation of AI and the IoT can meet these challenges. This slide shows the overview of this demonstration. So firstly, we gathered all information related to this project. So first one is, this is the most important thing. So we need to have the mobile spatial statistics. It is a real-time customer demand information. So how many Docomo subscribers are located in a specific point? That is a key information to predict the demand side for the taxi. And next one is the taxi distribution data, so taxi location data, and other miscellaneous data like weather information, event information, and facility data as well. So by gathering this information and analyzing them, utilizing our AI system, so we can have we can predict the demand for the taxis in near future. So this system also is realized in collaboration with partner of the taxi operating company and software engineering company in Japan and Docomo. So in this project, Docomo's major role is developing this whole system of the AI taxi system. And also, we provide a real-time demographic information. That is a key information to analyze the predicted demand. So this is a result of this project. So this bar shows the average sales per day and per driver. So the red one means the average sales of the driver who participated in this project. And the blue line shows the all drivers average. So red line surpassed blue line. So it means that we gained that approximately $12 sales increase by utilizing this AI system per day per driver. So this is a good news for the taxi company, but more importantly, the key gain from this project is this AI system can provide a more precise demand prediction for the taxi cab industry. It is a key information to realize the optimized transportation system, matching the demand side and supply side. We also get a positive feedback from all key players in this project. So what I'm going to highlight is the operator's comment. So not only for we got a clue for the optimizing transportation system, we also have a possibility to reduce the cost expenditure for the taxi operating company, because this system eliminates a training program for the inexperienced drivers. And the third one part is the expanding partners business. So when we say the expanding business, there are many ways to do that. But today, I'm going to help the Japanese manufacturers. So it is one example to expand their business. As you may know, Japanese manufacturer still has a good, sophisticated product to export. And they have already doing IoT-like services in Japan only. So what I'm going to provide is that we will support their expanding their business to the outside of the country. So when they are going to outside of the country, they may have a couple of issues. One is the roaming issues. So they need to have a negotiation with the outside wireless operators. And sometimes, almost all the time, and they will have to switch a SIM card accordingly to the wireless operators. So by utilizing IoT global platform, we can eliminate such a laborious task from our partners. Of course, we can also provide some hands-on support utilizing through the Docomo's global presence, global footprint. So as the last part of my presentation, I'm going to touch on future IoT thing in the next coming era of 5G. As we saw in this presentation, so the IoT market has many various requirements in terms of the mobility, latency space, and data volume space. So in order to respond to these demands, so that is one major reason why we are struggling, we were hardly working on creating a 5G system that has a feature of the high speed and large capacity. So compared to the 2010 level, their system capacity has 1,000 times more than the previous one, currently one. And the low latency level in this topic, so LTEs, current available system, that is called LTE. So the system performance is a few milliseconds. But in a 5G era, we are aiming to less than 1 millisecond. And the number of connections at the same time, so it also 100 times more than the current systems. So these features enable us to provide autonomous driving, AR, VR, and some other smart cities in the agricultural ICT, etc. So what actually we can see at their own hand is today, is so about the two projects we are doing in the Tokyo area. So let me show you a couple of examples how we are doing in a 5G area. First one is the vehicle control system. So main objective is to avoid collisions among cars. So in order to avoid such collisions, So vehicle have to communicate almost real time because traffic moves relatively very at a higher speed. So that is one example 5G system is required to provide. And second one is the future construction site utilizing the 5G system. So what we are trying to do is to realize the remote control system of the construction site. So we don't need to send any operators at the construction site, such as hazardous area. So it's a more safer way and a more efficient way because we can reduce the labor cost, not sending some people on site. So in order to achieve this system, we also require the real-time communication because the operator have to control the heavy machinery at the real time. And also, we need to send high-resolution videos that monitored at the construction site to the operators. So those are the features that 5G can provide to this kind of the solutions. And also, DOCOMO has been conducting several projects related to the 5G things, but I can't speak everything about today, so in another occasion, let me introduce this kind of things with an update. So it's going to the final slide of my presentation. Today, I talked about how technology like IoT and 5G will change our life and solve our societal challenges. So some of products and solutions are already in practical use. And so some future is already here. So we intended to further realize of IoT and 5G of the potentiality. Thank you very much.
Any questions? Well, that was inspiring. Talking about improving the entire world through this platform that you're doing in some places. Thank you so much. I naturally get worried about intrusion and cyber attack and ransomware and all the hack and all this stuff. So maybe you can speak to that briefly. But there was the thing about the retaining the taxi drivers. So I would imagine this means also retaining the trains of bus drivers. And do you think Japan's going to keep out Uber and Lyft and those sorts of new things, or eventually they're coming in? Which way?
I'm not sure how the Japanese government thinks about that, but it's my personal opinion. So we should open such a service to everyone because it's an optimized thing. So I think it's a kind of a mixture of the Uber and the taxi thing with can provide optimized solutions to all the society. This is my personal opinion.
What about cyber attack? Every one of these things is vulnerable in some way, I think.
Yeah.
You guys are ahead of the curve in those areas. So speak to that.
So it's a different topic of today's presentation, but actually we are working on how to detect a cyber attack utilizing our AI. So we are developing an AI system, so we can detect, we are seeking to detect the cyber attack utilizing such an IoT AI system. This is one trial we have been doing right now. Yes.
Was the taxi example, you saying that in the near future we'll have unmanned taxis in Japan?
I think eventually it will be realized, but it takes more time to realize such a thing. So that's why we are doing some kind of this project as a midterm solution for this. But in order to realize such an autonomous, free autonomous drive, we have a lot of hurdles we need to overcome, like regulatory issues, as I mentioned in the Uber case, but also there's some kind of technology challenges. But of course, we can support to realize such a thing through the 5G network, because they can provide a more real-time communication and high-capacity communication and something else. So that's the way we are doing right now.
Another question. You mentioned that Japanese companies will be using IoT and 5G to gain competitiveness, right?
Yes.
But other companies are using the same.
Yes. But we have a timing. So I think we are leading this industry, so we can provide such a services as soon as we can. So that's a strong point for the NTT Docomo.
What's the scale of investment that will be required to create the 5G network that is needed to support the project?
It's a kind of a formal answer to the to the investors. So we try to maintain the same level of the current investment size. So we are keep investing on about $40 billion per year in average in Docomo. Keep investing not only for the 5G, but also in the current system, LTE. So because of the traffic increase and demand increase, so we are maintaining the same level.
Does the government also
Okay.
I have a question regarding
Yes.
gas policy. In America right now, we're having an issue with densification for 5G. We need way more small cells and fiber optics. And a lot of the communities are pushing them out. It's called not in my backyard. So there's a real lot of issues about building the infrastructure to support 5G. And it's between the federal government and local rule and the like. In Japan, are you having a problem? Because you need for 5G small cells, right? You have to build more facilities. Is there already pushback there?
Actually, Japan is very dense, population dense country. So, and we have already deployed such a small cell type, smaller cell, because of the traffic concentration. So in an urban area, so we don't see any problem in Japan. And we can think about in the rural area how to deploy such a small cell, because we are still not sure if such a small cell will be needed in a urban area. So.ありがとうございます。
A transition from 5G to 6G. How are you approaching that in terms of the overlap in time and length? Do you think it might take so long that there'll be more 6G before the vision is realized in 5G?
Good question. But looking at the historical data, which means that what we have been done in the previously, so the 6G standardization process will begin in the next couple of years. But looking at the previous system, so migration, in Docomo's case, migration begins every 10 years. So after providing a launch of 5G, so we will maintain such a services at least 10 years. And then we will start a migration to the next generation wireless system.
One last question. So you spoke about the buoys and the PADI field sensors.
Yes.
And you mentioned that salinity and temperature, I think. Can you measure pollution? And then with that thought about pollution in general, like fertilizer runoff and other things, is there anything in water purification, and what's air pollution monitoring, because you are the IoT for the infrastructure. Are those considerations of
The current project are not able to measure the pollution things, but there's some other sensors. So some startup companies trying to do that. So through the collaboration with such startup companies, we will be able to realize to develop such a system. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So that brings our conference to a conclusion. I thank you all the participants for coming. I thank Kubo for beautiful keynote lecture. And we cannot send you home without some food, so lunch is being served in the tent. And we are looking forward to see you again in our next activity. We'll keep in touch with you. Thank you all very much.
Here, you want to hold on to this?
You hold on.
Okay.
I'm gonna lock down.
Leave this here?
Here. You don't need the charge, right? Do we need to charge it?
I charge it overnight.
Because I don't know, I don't trust it. Let me go to turn off my streaming.